Right, hi YouTube. If I can get this camera to stay in position. Because I get fed up of holding it. Right. Latest in the saga of Hasselhoff, the plot in Worcester. Going on from the last story. I moved from Nightingale House in, let me think, hang on. I moved from Nightingale House in 2000 after that arson story, that what happened, an ambulance thing. Moved into a shared house in London Road. Right, what happened there was, that was mad. That was mad as well. Well, at the time, I was doing quite a lot of videoing, and I'd videoed somebody. I'll come back to this story later, who and why, but I videoed somebody professionally at one of the churches in Worcester. Well, it was an ex-heroin addict from South Wales, career criminal, called Richard Taylor. He became a Christian in prison, and I say he hit the big time. He ended up with a contract to do a TV show regularly. I videoed his story at the church, and somebody came up with the money to have 1,000 DVDs made of his story, and then another 1,000 were done. So anyway, I've got all these DVDs at home. We'll come back to this. They're under the bed. Well, not all of them, but some of them. I'm distributing them various places as and when. Right. What happened? Yeah, that was it. I had a DVD recorder, and I was making them one at a time. At first, before they were professionally done, 1,000, I was doing them at home. And making them from the camcorder straight onto the DVD recorder, burning recordable discs. Anyway, I needed some more blank discs, and I needed to buy them in bulk and get them as cheap as possible. So I ended up looking in PC World, amongst other places. PC World, which used to be, I forget the name of the place, opposite Cripplegate Park in Worcester, where the Aldi Superstore is now, by the range. Anyway, okay, so I go in there. It's the middle of winter sort of thing. I'm on the push bike, travelled there by push bike, and I've done a bit of shopping at Sainsbury's and St John's, and on the way back I thought I'll see how much the DVDs are in bulk at PC World. Might buy some. So because I've tried carrying shopping in a carrier bag on the handlebars of the push bike before. You'd need a rucksack really, yeah. I didn't used to use one. And I've had the shopping go in the front wheel. Often I used to stuff the shopping up the front of my jacket, and then when you're on the bike it's held in, but your jacket's out here with shopping. I think I had a loaf of bread and a couple of other bits and pieces, and it was just stuffed down my jacket. Went into PC World, and I had a look at the price of the recordable discs, and they were just too expensive. And I had a look around, at just them, and left. Thought, I ain't paying that. I ended up buying some from elsewhere. I can't remember where. Right. Made the DVDs, and had them done professionally. But, not kidding you, months later I went back in PC World to see if they had a better deal on them, if they had like a price changed or a different deal. I went back in. It was about 4 months later, and this time I didn't have any shopping up down my coat. I walked in, and the security guard, who's in uniform, he used to be near the front doors inside, he's giving me death glares, really staring. I thought, what's his problem? Is he just some, I don't know, just some knobhead that thinks he's hard? Trying it on, or what else could it be? What's he staring at? So I thought I'd just ignore him, you know. Don't bite, just ignore him. I'm in there looking round at DVD recorders, cameras, that sort of thing. And I hear this like radio behind me, like a police radio. You know, yeah. I turn round, there's two coppers there in uniform. Didn't know them, never seen them before. And he said my name, the cop. He goes, Mr. So-and-so, you know. And I said, yeah. What do you want? And he says, I'm arresting you for suspicion of shoplifting. I said, what are you talking about? Shoplifting where? And he said, here. And I said, when? Not today. Search me now. I got nothing on me. He said, no, months ago. And I says, yeah, I was in here months and months ago. He said, it's from then. He said, I don't have to explain any more now. We'll explain the rest at the station. He goes, hold your hands out. I'm going to handcuff you, you know. I said, I'm going to kick off. You don't have to handcuff me and humiliate me. You know, everyone's already looking at me, you know. It's embarrassing. I've done nothing wrong and I haven't shoplifted anything at any time. And he said, look, I'll put it to you like this. If you don't hold your hands out now and let me handcuff you, and you're coming with us in the van back to the station, if you don't hold your hands out, I'm going to CS gas you, and then we'll handcuff you. He said the choice is yours. And I was pretty angry, yeah, and upset. So I let him handcuff me. They walked me out the store, and they put me in. They had the meat wagon outside, like a van, like a prison van, which has got special compartments in it, you know, with little windows. A proper meat wagon for prisoners. And he put me in that. And I can remember he had a bit of attitude. I'll say his name. It's PC Lee Palmer. He's been transferred to West Midlands Police about 9 years ago. But anyway, a complaint against him was upheld. That's why I'm naming him. He's getting a bit cocky, taking the mickey, just getting gobby and disrespectful, you know, making wisecracks. And I said, I'm going to make a complaint about you and your colleague here for unlawful arrest and your attitude. And he just goes, yeah, all right. And he's on the radio and he says, he radioed straight through that I'm going to make a complaint about him later. Now, in the car park of that trading estate there by the range, which is now the range, there's speed ramps. And as he pulled away, put me in the back of the meat wagon, him and the other cop got in the front, and they drove off. Instead of driving over the speed ramp slowly, he booted it, he put his foot down, and at that time I was, I'd had a hernia operation, which later was proven. I'd had a hernia operation. The specialist who operated on me said it was the worst hernia he'd ever seen in a person in his career, which was my fault for not having it done for so many years. So he wheel spins over this, and at speed he hits the speed ramp, and there's no seats. I'm sitting on a piece of hard melamine or formica, you know, it's just rock hard in there. There's no padded seat. It hurt. I was thrown up in the air, and they were laughing. Yeah. The two knobheads were laughing in the front. And I said, you won't laugh. You know, you laugh now, you won't be laughing later. And they goes, yeah, whatever. Now what happened? They had me at the station. In the charge room, they searched me, you know. They tell you to turn out all your pockets and they search me. I hadn't got anything else on me, you know, I turned out my pockets. But they have to ask this. One of the cop that was searching me said, now I'm going to search you, just have a look. Is there anything in your pockets that we need to know about that you haven't told us? They always have to say that in case it's a syringe or a blade. I said, no, nothing, like I've said. And this cop, who was unconnected with my arrest, because there was a lot of cops in the charge room, I hadn't seen him before. I forget his name now, but he's, I think he's left West Mercia. I think he was sacked. Or he was shipped out as well. He was Greek, but he was from America, but he was Greek born, but somehow he ended up in England and working as a police constable in West Mercia. Can't remember his name. He comes out with this wisecrack, so everybody could hear it, right by me. He goes, so this cop goes, nothing else in your pockets I need to know about, is there? And this other knobhead says, only a rocket launcher. Rocket launcher? Okay. Implying a joke at my expense. It's not a joke at all, it's pathetic. But that knobhead was implying I'm a potential terrorist. Now, at the time, I was going through a passport issue. Very messy, long, drawn-out story. I was a non-entity. A very complicated case. So I was a non-entity. I didn't know. I couldn't prove what country I was from. Eventually, I did. And it was around the time, I think the year before, the terrorist in London had blown up 2 double-decker buses. So really, and I felt like just launching myself at that prick and headbutting him, but I didn't, I'm glad to say. So I just ignored it, and I thought, well, I'll make a complaint about that. So they locked me up for 8 hours, 8 hours in the cells, and after many requests earlier on, for hours, I said, when are you going to get me a duty solicitor? Because I'm not talking to you till I see a duty solicitor. I'm innocent. And they says, oh yeah, we're short. They're short. Thin on the ground. The solicitors were having a job getting you one, which I didn't believe. I still think it's bullshit. So what I did, because I started to get so annoyed, on the cell door, there's a window, a spiral. Well, not just a spiral. No, a spiral. No, there's a window, a portrait format window about that big. What they can do, they can put a hatch across and lock it to stop you looking through, but it's got holes so they can still look at you. So they put the hatch down because they got sick of me ringing the buzzer and becoming more and more annoyed, saying, where's my solicitor? You've been locked in here for hours. So they put the hatch down. Well, I found out if I did that with my elbow, I think it was like that from behind, but I could hit it really hard with my elbow. And at the time, I suppose I was the biggest and strongest I ever had been from bodybuilding. So I was making this tremendous noise, smashing my elbow against this hatch with a lot of force. It was making a right racket. And, they come running, the cops, stop doing that, or, they'd switch the buzzer off. So I just goes, get me a solicitor. And I got more and more annoyed. And I hit that hatch hundreds of times, couple of hundred times, maybe 300 or 400 times. And they got more and more upset. And in the end, I threatened them. I did. I lost my temper. And I says, first cop to come near this cell, I'm snapping his neck. You're having it. And they sent the riot squad down, which they've got to, haven't they? But by then I was a wreck, crying, to be honest. And they said, you're going to be all right now, don't play up anymore, because we'll have to put you in a straitjacket. I said, no, I'll play up anymore. And I didn't. About an hour later, they got a duty solicitor, 8 hours after being arrested in themselves. And he said, I've already had a word of them. You're going to interview in a minute, under caution. It'll be recorded. I'll be there, but tell me now. And I told him about the loaf of bread. I thought, well, why should I lie? It's not going to look good, because in the eyes of the police, if they're, as I've said before, I believe if they're looking to pin something on somebody, they're not bothered about right and wrong, truth or lie, dare or whatever. They're just, he'll do, that'll do. Fit him up. We're not bothered about getting to the, he must be guilty. It looks like it. Never mind, that'll do. He'll do. They'll do. So I told him about the loaf of bread, and he said, yeah. He said, to be honest with you, he said, I believe absolutely what you're saying, and about the loaf of bread. It's good you told me the truth about that. He said, what's happened is, they've told me, the first time you went in there, and you had that bulging coat, which you say the loaf of bread inside, that day they'd had £500 worth of hard drives nicked, stolen, off the shelf area where you were looking over towards where there was DVDs as well, where they kept all the stock. And they didn't realise for 2 days that the hard drives had been stolen, but when they did, they viewed the CCTV, and the person that got closest to the pile of hard drives that had gone missing was you. So they contacted us, and we identified you. But I said, well, why didn't they come and get me 4 months ago? Oh, they were just like, I don't know. He said, it's ridiculous. I can't give you an answer. They can't give me an answer about that. You know, if they knew it was you, why didn't they come and get you? Why did it have to take you going back in the store 4 months later for the guard to phone him up and say, here he is, he's here again, the thief that was on CCTV? So he said, anyway, yeah, I advise you strongly not to tell them about the loaf of bread down the coat. Don't say there's anything down the coat, because he said, I'm sorry to say, but I suspect they'll try and fit you up with it. You know, they won't believe it's a loaf of bread down there. If you say, oh yes, there was, your coat was bulging, which showed on the CCTV, you know, and you say it was a loaf of bread, they will say, aha, you say it's a loaf of bread, but we're suggesting that it was stolen hard drives bulging out. And, you know, even in court they might charge you and you get fitted up for it. Even though there's no real evidence, who gives a flying F about that nowadays, eh? Too much. So, right. I goes, no, all right, thanks for telling me the truth. I said, that's shocking, that's worrying. So, I am going to lie to them. I'm not going to tell them it was a loaf of bread, which it was, because they'll try and fit me up, and I do believe you, you know, but it's shocking to hear it, you know, coming from the horse's mouth, so to speak. He said, yeah, I'm sorry, but, you know, bad things can happen. Nasty things can happen, you know, to innocent people. Go to an interview, go through all the formalities, and the cops try and come out with this. Honestly, it was like Alice in Wonderland, some of it. The cop was trying to get me to admit, you know, just trying to suggest that I'd stolen the hard drives, mind games, trying to word it, you know, and it was laughable, because it was obvious he was doing it, Mr. Palmer, Lee Palmer, and the solicitor said as soon as he come out with the wisecracks, you don't have to answer that. My client doesn't have to answer that. I'm advising you not to answer that. And I said, yeah, no comment. So I went through the charade of an interview. And when the tape switched off, there's a usual perfunctory little chat, you know. And he said, well, we didn't really want to do this, you know. We don't think you've had them hard drives. And I said, really? What are you trying to fit me up for? He says, oh, we've got to go by the book, you know. It's police procedure and tactics. And I went, oh yeah, oh that one, yeah, of course, sorry. And he said, we're going to bail you in a minute, we'll give you bail and to come back in a month, you know. And I said, you haven't searched my flat, have you? I've got a horrible feeling you've searched my flat while I've been in custody. And he said, actually, yeah, I was going to tell you, we have. We got your door keys. And because we knew where you lived, and obviously you'd already told us, we've searched your flat. But unfortunately, the shared house you live in, we went into the kitchen of, because I had my own kitchen. It's like 2 flats in one building. The house had been split into 2 separate flats. And by then, there was just me and another guy there. There used to be 3 of us, 3 flats. And he said, unfortunately, we went into your neighbour's kitchen, and we couldn't find the light switch, so we found some DVD players in there and video players, and we thought they might have been stolen, so we were just getting the serial numbers. And he came back from the pub drunk, and he I said he nearly belted you, didn't he? Because he was he's one of those guys that's quite tasty when he's had a drink, you know, or without, apparently. Kung fu, quite skilled in kung fu, apparently, and it used to be a doorman in Worcester. So the cops nearly got a kicking. Old you know, cops there nearly got a battering. I won't say his name, but they nearly got battered by him until they identified themselves as police officers. And they did find my room, and they searched my room, and they found 1,000 commercially done DVDs by ex-heroin addict turned Christian Richard Taylor, and the DVDs were labelled To Catch a Thief. And he said, "Oh, we found all those DVDs in your kitchen, yeah, about it's called To Catch a Thief. We thought that was a bit odd, you know, being as we were trying to catch you out for being a thief." He said, "What's all that about?" And I told him, they said, "That's a bit weird." And I said, "Not as weird as all this crap going on now, and you arrested me." And he went, "Yeah." He goes, "Anyway, gonna bail you." And the solicitor said, "Just don't worry about it. You're going to come back in a month, but they've got nothing on you. It'll just be like no case to answer and let go again." Like the fire bullshit, the arson, when they were trying to imply that I was an arsonist. Okay, so the solicitor went, he goes, "I'll see you, mate. I hope I don't see you again, but if they do charge you, I'll see you again." So he went. And the cops were leading me to the back door at Worcester Police Station in Castle Street, and guess who walked through the door as I was going out? I mentioned him recently in another video. PC David Benfield from church, who'd arrested me in the 90s for non-payment of fines. And I was surprised. I goes, "Oh, Dave, oh yeah." I was embarrassed, And he goes, "Pete, what you doing in here?" And I quickly told him. And the other cops are behind me, Palmer and the other one, just like, "What's he doing so chatty with a cop? How are they mates?" And Dave says, "Oh, Lee, it's all right. No, Pete from old, and from church." And he went, "Yeah, right, okay." And Dave Benfield said, "Look, there's some weird stuff going on with you, ain't there? But you're being tested." Yeah, and I said, yeah, by the man upstairs, not this lot, but by the man upstairs. He said, "Yeah, it's about the size of it, yeah. Stay strong." Finally, what happened, Lee Palmer told me, PC Palmer, after they'd switched the tape off and the little chat, he said, to be honest, he says, "We don't think you've done it now." He says, "You've been used as a pawn, Peter. Nothing. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's all I can tell you. But I'm trying to help you out here. We don't think you've done it. You've been used as a pawn." And I said, "Pawn, eh?" "Yeah." He said, "PC World. The bosses at PC World, the manager or whatever and higher, are extremely upset that some thief managed to steal over 500 quid's worth of computer hard drives from under the nose of everybody and on camera, and they haven't got anybody for it, and because you were the closest thing to a suspect, he said it's possible, wink wink, he says it's possible that it's got to be made to look like things are being investigated, because it's embarrassing for them." And I said, "If you didn't think I'd done it, why all the crap at the PC World with the handcuffs and the wheels spinning over the speed ramp?" He said, "Well, we were just following, warnings about you." And I said, "You thought I was going to kick off? I've never kicked off with you lot yet. You don't push me that far, I'm glad to say." Went back in a month, and no charge to answer, everything dropped. I did make a complaint against that cop accusing me of having a rocket launcher, and because I nearly got evicted from the property, the landlord, who's a bit of a local, I won't call him a gangster, he thought he was until I challenged him about certain stuff when he threatened me. Then he bottled it. I won't say his name, attempted to. He threatened to throw me out because of that, for bringing the police to the house and, no smoke without fire, and annoying the other residents. So the cops nearly got me evicted from there, and they got me in the bad books with the other residents. He was extremely upset. And I can hear the battery going, so I'm just going to check. Yeah, battery's going. I'll wrap this up. I put in a complaint, and it was upheld, and professional standards wouldn't do nothing about it, so I took it to the IPCC in London, and two of them came up from London and interviewed me about it in front of a witness, and a complaint against Worcester Police was upheld against me for whatever, just treated me like dirt basically. And the letter ended saying, apologies, lessons learnt in the way, the way I was treated badly in several ways, lessons learnt. Unfortunately, also for you people, Worcester Plod, lessons haven't been learnt. It's just more empty bullshit words on paper, isn't it? It appears. But maybe some of you are learning to think for yourselves now in the right way. So yeah, and I think there's one more fiasco story from Plod Hassle. I think year 1 when I changed the dress again, and then that's it. As long as I get left alone, I'll stay out of their way, unless I see something big going down in public. In which case I'll record it in the public domain, being a freelance journalist. Okay, thanks for listening.